Alright everybody, welcome to the second game. Starting to the top right, we have the second player for Team Acer here at the SC2 match between Millenium and Acer. It is Scarlett. And we have, of course, the starting player of Millenium at the bottom left. It is ForGG. Already successful once in this matchup against Bly in the first game. He was able to win the game and therefore bringing his team in the lead in this best of 9 series. Let's see if Scarlett can change things up a little bit or if ForGG is gonna drop another Zerg player and wins game number 2 right away. For now, we have both of them starting here on Overgrowth, one of our new 2-player maps. Starting to the top right, we have the Team Acer player here, and this is one of those maps that seems to be quite balanced, at least thus far. At the beginning of the new map pool, of the new cycle, you always just need to wait a little bit until the players can really just explore all the strategies and the timings on a particular map, and then feel like, okay, which map is going to be better for their race, or particularly good in a certain matchup. Overgrowth is a map that we have seen in kind of every cycle where players had the chance to veto maps, so it's one of the maps that has been vetoed the least and therefore seems to be quite balanced, at least of now. For ForGG in this game, we have the same opening that he used already against Bly, the standard opening of Terran players against ZerG these days. We are going to see the Refinery here and the Reaper, of course. Scarlett goes not only for the quick pause here, but at the same time also heading into a hatch first. Scarlett currently in Korea. The game is taking place on the North American server, since ForGG is in Europe, and therefore the North American server, the best server for a Europe versus Korea match. You can't really play one of those games on the Korean server and then another one on the European server. The lag between the two of them is just way too big. So North America is usually the compromise that people go for, and this game makes no exception here. So with Scarlett being in Korea on the other hand and ForGG being in Europe, we have a little bit of server hopping today, since game number 1 was of course on the European server. We're quite flexible with this at the ATC here. And by now, ForGG, I mean, there's not a lot going on in the game itself. Scarlett just starting things off with hatch first, waiting now, of course, for the pool to start. Highly doubt that we're going to see anything like double hatch before pool. Not in this matchup, not in this on this map, not against this opponent. You really don't want to do that, and you usually know that on a map like this you're up against the Reaper build. So in this case it would be a little bit suicidal to really go for such an early third base. It's something that we see, if so, on bigger maps. Altism Stronghold, for example. ForGG, on the other hand, he showed us in the last game that he really wants to go for that early third command center and prefers that over the Banshee, at least in the ZerG match, or in the Terran versus ZerG match that he played against Bly. We might see the same thing again if he doesn't change up his style here. Scarlett, on the other hand, was able to watch the last game, so she of course knows that ForGG did that on the first map, so he might decide to just change things up a little bit and instead go for a more aggressive build against her. Also, of course, it's a bit of a different map since we have a 2-player map. Last game was a 3-player map, the only 3-player map that we have in the pool. Distance between the bases is kind of similar, so that's not going to be a big factor. But we already have the extractor here taken for Scarlett, and that will give her the opportunity to go into a bit of a faster speed for the Zerglings. We saw Bly skip that entirely since he wanted to go for a roach push, which was cut down immediately by ForGG's aggression with the Hellions. But if Scarlett goes for the speed for the Zerglings here, the Reapers at least won't be a big problem. She won't have to rely on the Queens alone, which is of course one of the things that he could do. Reaper number 1 is already on the way, second one is being built, so for now everything is exactly like it was in game number 1 concerning the strategy against the opponent's build, but we might, as I already said, see maybe a bit of a faster attack into the second gas and then the starport to get the Banshee out there instead of getting that third command center. Command center number 1 is already building at the low ground, and there we have the Reaper moving in, trying to go up against the hatch. That's never going to work out. But yeah, for now we can at least take down a Ling or 2. And, well, let's see what he's going to achieve with that. No second gas just yet taken by ForGG at the bottom left. The second Reaper is also on the way out. No Zerglings trying to sneak past for now. And as you can see there, at least he forced the Spore Caller. Scarlett had to build that. Speed is being researched by her at the top right now. And we see in the main base factory, not just finished yet, but without the second gas, I guess it's going to be time for that third command center very, very soon. The Overlord still having a quick look here, seeing exactly what's coming out down the ramp, and of course the base itself, whereas the double Reaper at the front is just trying to poke in a little bit, do some damage, but they weren't really able to do anything dying. And so far, Scarlett has shown us a pretty solid defense here, not losing a single unit. It's of course one of those things where you also have to think about, like, is Reaper really the best choice for this map? Because that's kind of the only area where you can hop onto the high ground. I guess you can also just hop in back here if you go past that. At the same time, you can't really go do anything here. This is the only entrance. So it's very, very tricky to make Reapers work successfully, since all that growth that we have here on overgrowth is preventing you from jumping in over there at this particular point of the map. So it's a little bit similar, if you want so, to Habitation Station in terms of surface area where Reapers can be used. It's more about the mobility and the agility that they have, and then about the third base that is a little bit more exposed, which we see here right now. Talking about the third base, we of course see that command center for Scarlett is already suggested earlier, and we have a bit of a fight there since the Zerglings are starting to get aggressive, trying to cut those Hellions off, but only one Hellion dying, and the rest of the Lings has to move back for now, but the Reaper is already low in HP, and I don't even think that he knows about this third just yet. No, so probably assumes that's going to be a third base very, very soon, but he did not confirm. So ForGG at this point, not really getting the same opening that he did in the last game. And keep in mind, how did he actually manage that? How did he manage to get those Hellions in? He preoccupied Bly with the Reapers, jumping into the base, killing a few Harvesters, and then he snuck those Hellions in when Bly was preoccupied. That's not really gonna work against Scarlett here, just because the map doesn't really lend itself to this style. You can't just simply jump in the main base. And I don't think that she's going to make that mistake. But she might actually lose one of those queens. Well, not quite. Could have baited them maybe a little bit more. Just get that queen onto the high ground. Because without the vision, ForGG didn't really know about all those Zerglings that we saw there. But the Terran player, it's not really disturbed in his development. At the bottom, as you can see, we have the barracks now building 2 additional ones. He's also going for the stim. He's just trying to control the map and as much of the creep spread as he possibly can with the Hellions and the Reapers. And that's something that you have to do against Scarlett. Scarlett is one of those insane Zerg players that just has the absolute best creep spread out there. She's sharing that together with Jaedong. Nice, gonna take that down. Well, no, that's not gonna quite work for him. Yeah, that Reaper was in the wrong spot. Jaedong and Scarlett, I would say, the 2 Zerg players that have kind of the best creep spread out there. And Scarlett definitely is the best foreigner when it comes to creep spread. So we have now 2-2, oh, it's actually 1-1 started, double upgrades for both of them. We have also the double engineering way all the way at the back for ForGG. And so far, Scarlett not really doing a whole lot against this. Getting Overlords in position against the drop play. Another one over here at the natural. The speed for the Overlords is going to allow her to move in with the Overlord here and trying to get a quick glimpse at the tech. The third base, on the other hand, she might not be able to spot this because right now, oh well, the Overlord actually hovering here and going straight for the main. So I guess at some point, going to make a quick move over here and just double check. So far we have just the normal tech that you would expect, Spire and Baneling Nest, and of course we, in terms of the worker development, we have 64 against 49 right now, trying to make that work as well. And yeah, both of them just playing a pretty laid back game, not too aggressive or anything like that. Scarlett's creep spread a little bit cut down short here by a scan, and the move in of Hellions and Reapers all the way up here at the side. We have a few more active creep tumors. The third base not really seen just yet. The Overlord, I think, is just outside the range of the mineral patches. Yes, indeed he is. And the second Overlord was trying to make its way over, but we have him cut down by the double drop that we see. And actually supply block Scarlett, who goes into a fourth base to the top left at the same time. And an engineering bay is going to work on the 2-2 as soon as the armory is done. And the double drop is already on the way there. But Scarlett has now a completed Spire and could go into Mutalisk to make sure that those are not going to do too much. A few units in the main base, nothing there. She saw those drops earlier but didn't react just yet. One of the Overlords nearly dying. But by now she should be able to force these units back. Not enough Zerglings for that, on the other hand. And here come the Banelings finally. They're not rolling yet. You need to have that upgrade for speed to keep them rolling. Up to that point, they're just crawling across the map. And the Hellions and the Reapers were also just trying to sneak in once again. Creep spread, now even assisted by an Overlord that is spreading creep there. Well, was assisted because the Overlord here is taken out immediately. And that's once again just ForGG getting whatever kills he can. And he is getting quite a few of those, not moving back just yet, killing a lot of those Lings especially. Can't really take down the Banelings just yet, but whoa, nice splits and focus here by ForGG. Well done against Scarlett. Resources lost definitely in his favor. Only half the resources lost compared to Scarlett. And if you just look at that, 60 Zerglings, 5 Banelings already, very well done. And also taking down quite a lot of creep tumors, maybe even getting another Overlord. Well, not quite, the Overlord survives in the last second. But the reinforcements are on the way, and even a Widow Mine in for the shot. So ForGG starting to put the pressure on here, even getting a Thor all the way back at home, wants to make sure that he's not too vulnerable against the Mutalisks. We have Blue Flame being researched, and the first Hellbats also produced. So right now, I have to say, ForGG trying to apply as much pressure as he possibly can against Scarlett, and that will leave her with a bit of a problem. But the speed for the Banelings is done, and suddenly they start to try to keep rolling in there. At least one of the Medivacs is probably going to bite the dust here if the Mutalisks pursue them even further. And with all those Zerglings providing cover on the ground, that's definitely going to be the case. The reinforcements there may be a little bit too late. Here come the Banelings moving in again, but the Thor could put an end to this. He's focused immediately, but the Zerglings, they're just not there anymore to provide the cover against the Marines, and therefore Scarlett has to move back, but took the lead in the overall supply and really made sure that the gap in the Harvesters lost is now in her favor. So well played. Scarlett with a nice move out here, but keep in mind that our Terran player has that third base over there secured. 1-0 still overall in the best of 9 in favor of Team Millenium. And now the Infestation Pit is being built in the main base. That's something that Bly never could do against ForGG. He never had the opportunity to do that, just because the early game went really bad for him. But at least Scarlett can really work on her tech and make sure that she has options in the late game. +2 armor is about to be completed, and she's just looking for an opportunity to do some damage here, but against the bunker it's really difficult to do that with Mutalisks alone. The creep spread, on the other hand, is as usual for Scarlett, getting a little bit out of hand once more. She has creep tumors everywhere and knows exactly what's happening here in terms of dropships, in terms of like units that are moving across the map. Even sees this Marine even before it's even close to the base. Can't really intercept him on the other hand, so yeah, that's a bit of a problem for her. Only 2 in gas, on the other hand, over here. Might not even realize this in the end. Doesn't matter too much if you're already on 8 gases and taking a 5th base as well, but it's something, yeah, just worth pointing out, I guess. Hive Tech already started. +2/+2 is just now on the way, so Scarlett is actually ahead in upgrades at this point. She's ahead in upgrades, and she has a pretty sick army there, trying to put that to use, and a run-by attempt, a run-fly event happening at the bottom, where she's going for the Harvesters. Still trying to defend with the ground army all the way at the top, and she's going for the bunker, actually. No repair on the bunker, and the Marines are down, and that opens up the entire mineral line to the havoc that Scarlett is wreaking with the Mutalisks, moving in and taking down even more Marines. The reinforcements are being taken apart here. At the same time, the space to the top left is attacked and is most likely going to die as well. But the Banelings are moving in right now. Scarlett moving over those units, over the anti-air units that we see there, so a little bit of a problem for her. Moving back in again with the Mutalisks, a nice move by ForGG, medevacing that Thor in. At the same time, the Banelings are trying to go for the Marines, and this time the splits are not all that great, losing a lot, but Scarlett lost most of the Mutalisks already. She only has 1 left, so that didn't really work out in her favor in the end. 13,000 resources lost against 9,000. A big problem for her. At first, this really nice aggression against the third base, taking down Harvesters over here, then trying to just move in and save the space to the top left, but flying the Mutalisks over Marines and Thors. ForGG reacting immediately with the stim, and then also a medevac Thor, and Scarlett losing the main bulk of her anti-air army, and now the space to the top left is gone. Very annoying, but not the biggest deal, since she still has the base over here. In terms of units lost, we have currently 200 Zerglings nearly, and well, Scarlett realizing that with only 48 army supply against 87, she can't do anything against this position. The units already too numerous here for ForGG's moving in at that base, and Scarlett just losing her Mutalisks. That cut away a lot of her options. So ForGG takes the second win. Scarlett maybe giving up a little bit too early there, but on the other hand, really doing something against the space that we see there and the army in this particular position without the Baneling support as well. She's probably going to lose that. She knows that, so with only 3 bases, the Terran player just making his way in and taking her down. ForGG with the second win for his team, and let's see who player number 3 is going to be for Team Acer.